In this video, I'll be testing this Eureka Copper Canyon LX against not only light rain, but heavy rain as well. But before we rain test this tent, let's first check in on the tent to see where it may or may not leak. First, on the outside of the tent, I checked the rain fly and all the seams were taped. And now for the inside of the tent. At the back of the tent, here's me checking all the seams to show you exactly which seams have been taped and which are not. Let's go from the top to the bottom. The top two seams have not been taped and have not been inverted either. Next, the window seams. These have been taped. Now the orange to white tent fabric seam. This has also been taped. The bathtub flooring to orange tent fabric seam. This has also been taped. Speaking of flooring, there's bathtub flooring all through this Eureka Copper Canyon, and it measures about 10 inches up. And also, all the seams on the flooring have also been completely taped. I noticed these corner seams too, and they're nicely taped as well. At the front of the tent, I found that the door seam was completely taped all around the door. I noticed these pull clip reinforced fabric seams too. They were also taped. What about these vertical seams running from the flooring to the top of the tent? Well, they're not taped, but they are inverted. Will the untaped seams leak? Let's rain test this Eureka Copper Canyon, first starting with the light rain test. I managed to put this tent through a couple of hours of light rain, and I found that there was not a single drop of water inside the tent. But that's not the end of my findings. Here's another two things that I noticed in the light rain. First, the door at the front of this Eureka tent is actually completely dry, which is pretty surprising to me. I think the rainfly pole provided enough of an overhang to shield it from the light rain. And second, this Eureka tent has 3 windows, and the mesh of all the windows were damp about halfway down, so the top was dry and the bottom was damp. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is that from the inside of the tent, you can actually unhook and open your windows partially about halfway in the light rain. There are 4 hooks you can unhook, and you can leave the other 2 hooks like this. From the outside of the tent, if you notice, this is where the other 2 hooks are. And this is exactly where the rain did not drip. I think it's really cool because Eureka probably tested this tent and noticed this, I think. But I did this light rain test in my yard with not a lot of wind, so you might have to shut your windows completely in strong wind. On top of the light rain test, I also tested this Eureka Copper Canyon through 1 hour of heavy rain. Unlike the light rain test, the windows of the Eureka tent got pretty drenched this time around. I think the rainfly is just really too small and the rain is really too heavy. Even the front window, which is part of the door, was slightly damp too, even though there was a little overhang from the rainfly pole. And this happened in my yard without a whole lot of wind. If there's wind, these windows would be even more drenched. Also, under the rainfly pole, there's this gap between the rainfly and the ceiling mesh. I can definitely see this being an issue in horizontal rain when there's really strong wind and really heavy rain, so just take note of this. Was there any leaking inside the tent? Let's step in and find out. So we're inside the tent and check out the flooring. I think the ground underneath is pretty wet from all the heavy rain, but there was not a single leak into the tent through the flooring. I also checked all the fabric inside the tent, like the bottom orange fabric, the top white fabric, the window fabric, and I even checked the rainfly. They were all completely dry. There was no water that penetrated through. But sadly though, I noticed leaking at the corners of the tent. Why did they leak? You might have guessed it. The leaking came from the untaped vertical seams, and this was the only leak in this tent. If you've been watching my videos for a while now, you might know that I'm not a big fan of untaped seams, even if they're inverted, because these inverted seams don't really work well in heavy rain. They do fine in light rain though. And because the rainfly of this tent is so small, these seams need to be taped. I recommend that you seal this yourself if you're expecting heavy rain and if you want to buy this tent. But hey, remember the other 2 seams inside this tent that weren't taped as well? Well, these were okay. These did not leak at all because they're directly under the rainfly. Overall, I think with all other cabin tents with small rainflies like this Eureka tent does okay in rain. It does perfectly fine in light rain, but not so much in heavy rain. With a little seam sealant here, I think this Eureka tint could probably withstand a few hours of heavy rain without leaking. But I really wouldn't recommend using this tent if there's strong wind along with that heavy rain. Want to know why I think so? Just check out this video on the screen right here for a full review on this Eureka Copper Canyon LX6, including a casual wind test. Thank you for watching this rain test. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.